Hey learners, welcome back to EduIntern Voyage. Your learning journey starts. If you are a BCom student who wants simple, clear, and reliable study content, subscribe to EduIntern Voyage, like the videos, and start your learning journey today.
International Trade. Unit 2. Classical trade theories such as Adam Smith's absolute advantage and David Ricardo's comparative advantage laid the foundation for international trade. However, they have several limitations in the modern context. Limitations. Unrealistic assumptions. These theories assume full employment, perfect competition, and no government intervention, conditions rarely found in real economies. Two-country, two-commodity model. Classical theories explain trade between only two countries and two goods, which oversimplifies global trade patterns. Neglect of transport cost. They ignore transportation and trade costs, which can significantly influence trade decisions. Static nature. The models do not account for technological changes, dynamic competition, or innovation over time. No consideration of economies of scale. Modern industries often benefit from large-scale production, which classical theories fail to recognize. Factor mobility ignored. They assume factors of production, like labor and capital, are immobile between countries but mobile within a country, not always realistic. Neglect of product differentiation. Classical theories assume homogeneous goods, while in reality, products differ in quality and features. Does not explain intra-industry trade. Theories fail to explain why countries trade similar products, e.g., Japan and Germany both export cars. No role of government policies. The effect of tariffs, quotas, and subsidies is ignored. Outdated in global context. Modern trade is driven by technology, services, and multinational corporations, aspects absent in classical theories. Question. Explain Adam Smith's absolute advantage theory. What are its assumptions and criticisms? Answer. Introduction. The absolute advantage theory was proposed by Adam Smith in his book, The Wealth of Nations, 1776. It is one of the earliest and most important theories of international trade. The theory explains how countries can benefit from trade by specializing in producing goods in which they have an absolute cost advantage. Meaning definition. According to Adam Smith, a country has an absolute advantage over another country if it can produce a commodity more efficiently, at a lower cost or with fewer resources, than the other country. Each country should specialize in producing goods in which it has an absolute advantage and then trade with other nations. This leads to increased total output and mutual gains from trade. Example. Suppose country A can produce 10 units of cloth or 5 units of wine. Country B can produce 6 units of cloth or 12 units of wine. A has an absolute advantage in cloth, and B in wine. If they specialize and trade, both countries benefit. Assumptions. Only two countries and two commodities are considered. Labor is the only factor of production. Labor is homogeneous within a country. Labor is perfectly mobile within a country but immobile between countries. No transportation costs. Free trade exists, no tariffs or restrictions. Instant returns to scale. Employment and perfect competition exist in both countries. Criticisms. Limitations. Unrealistic assumptions like full employment and perfect competition. Neglects comparative advantage. Does not explain trade when one country has an advantage in all goods. Ignores transportation and trade costs. Static in nature. Does not consider technological changes. No consideration of multi-commodity or multi-country trade. Only labor is considered as a production factor, ignoring capital and technology. Conclusion. Though the absolute advantage theory is simple and foundational, it was later reviewed by David Ricardo's comparative advantage theory, which better explains the real-world trade pattern. Still, Adam Smith's theory remains the starting point of modern trade analysis. Question. Explain David Ricardo's comparative cost theory. What are its assumptions and criticisms? Answer. Introduction. The comparative cost theory, also called comparative advantage theory, was developed by David Ricardo in 1800. is homogeneous within the country. Labor is perfectly mobile within the country but immobile between the countries. Constant returns to scale. Free trade, no government restrictions. No transport cost. Good employment and perfect competition exist. Technology remains constant. Criticism limitations. Unrealistic assumptions, such as two countries, two goods, and full employment. Ignores transport cost, tariffs, and other trade barriers. Only labor is considered, neglecting capital, land, and technology. Static theory does not include dynamic factors like innovation or economic growth. Incomplete explanation of international trade in the modern world, where services and technology dominate. Ignores economies of scale and product differentiation. Not applicable when trade is influenced by government policies, exchange rates, or multinational corporations. Conclusion. Ricardo's comparative cost theory is an improvement over Adam Smith's absolute advantage theory, as it shows that mutual trade benefits can exist even if one country is less efficient in all goods. Though based on unrealistic assumptions, it remains a cornerstone of classical trade theory and the foundation of modern trade economics. Question. Explain the immiserating growth theory. What are its assumptions and criticisms? Meaning definition. Immiserating growth occurs when a country's growth in an export sector leads to such a large fall in the terms of trade, price of exports relative to imports, that the gains from increased output are outweighed, leaving the country worse off. Mechanism explanation. Country increases production of an exportable good. The world supply of that good rises, causing its international price to fall. If the price fall is large enough, the value of exports may decline despite higher output. The country loses in terms of trade, leading to lower national welfare. Assumptions. Small country assumption is not valid. The country must be large enough to influence world prices. The country specializes in a few export commodities. Growth is export-oriented, increasing supply of traded goods. International prices are sensitive to changes in supply, elastic demand. No trade restrictions, free trade exists. Perfect competition in world markets. Example. Suppose a country grows rapidly in coffee exports. World supply of coffee rises, global price falls. Revenue from coffee exports may fall despite higher quantity, reducing national income. If the price fall is steep, the country may end up worse off than before growth. Critical evaluation limitations. Rare occurrence. Immiserating growth requires specific conditions, large country, highly elastic demand, concentrated exports. In reality, such extreme cases are uncommon. Assumes export dependence. Theory mainly applies to primary commodities or single sector growth. Diversified economies are less vulnerable. Ignores domestic benefits. Focuses on terms of trade, ignoring domestic consumption gains, employment, and industrial growth. Static analysis. Does not consider dynamic gains from technology, investment, and learning by doing. Policy implications. Suggests the need for diversification, trade policy, and export quality improvement to avoid immiserization. Question. Analyze the limitations of international trade as an engine of economic growth. Limitations of trade as an engine of growth. Dependence on world market. Developing countries often depend heavily on exporting primary commodities. They are vulnerable to global price fluctuations, which can hinder growth. Unequal gains from trade. Gains may be skewed toward developed countries, which control technology and capital-intensive industries. Terms of trade deterioration. Countries exporting primary goods may face falling export prices relative to imports, limiting growth, related to Prebisch-Singer hypothesis. Over-specialization. Excessive focus on a few exports may cause structural vulnerability, making economies sensitive to external shocks. Trade barriers and protectionism. Tariffs, quotas, and subsidies in developed countries can restrict market access for developing nations, limiting growth benefits. Neglect of domestic development. Export-oriented growth may ignore domestic needs, leading to inequality and regional disparities. Limited technology transfer. appreciation and explains